Okay, so the number of cyber security attacks, I'm know it's increasing, it's in the headlines all the time, but I'm just wondering, is it increasing, do you think, sort of in direct proportion just because there's so much more digital activity, or is it a sort of worrying increase that's, way above the increase? So yeah, what's the landscape like in terms of, when it comes to cyber attacks at the moment?
Yeah, well, in the past, we used to see massive attacks like Casilla or SolarWinds, like a few, I would say, quarters, even years back. But we continue to see how, the landscape is evolving and affecting macro level worldwide, I would say, global attacks, like Log4j one as an example. It affected 44% of the networks worldwide. So that's massive, and I would say it's unstoppable. So the full world is under attack, and the more open we are and the more connected we are, the more risk we will be assuming. So let me give you some data before we move forwards on the conversation. So 25% of the business that experience ransomware attacks are forced to close. That's 1 out of 4. It's massive. Only 4% of them get all data back when they pay the ransom. Only 4% get all the data. So, and 70% of individuals like you and me would stop doing business with companies that suffer ransomware attacks. So, as you said, it's in the news every day, and is, I would say, like an ouch kind of conversation. But if that's not enough, let me give you a couple of data points more. So per minute, the average cost of a ransomware attack is $12,000. Recovering from a ransomware attack is $1.4 million. And the average cost of a data breach is $4.20 million. So it's massive. It's massive. So you need to be, number one, careful with how you open to the internet connectivity and so on. And also you need to be super aware of how you need to protect your crown jewels, your most important data, your most critical data.
Okay, and in terms, obviously there are a lot of solutions out there to address various parts of the cybersecurity issue, but for yourselves, Commvault, you have introduced metallic ThreatWise, and I think you describe it as an early warning system. So can you, we'll drill down a little bit, but can you give us a sort of high level view of what it is, what it's designed to do?
Yeah, so let's also think about how a few short years ago ransomware worked. So kind of what we mentioned before on SolarWinds, or probably Casilla, and so many other ransomware attacks we experienced in the past. So number one, encryption was the end of the game. So, the way they got access into your network typically was, through, let's say, traditional access, maybe, through an insider, or maybe through an attack, phishing, you name it, social engineering, you name it. Then second was command and control. So lay low, try to get access to many systems, making the less noise possible. And then with lateral movement, getting privilege escalation. So at the end, with the, let's say, privileges of an end user, they don't get access to your crown jewel data. And then the end of the game was encryption. Now, only 17%, 17, of the cases end up with encryption. Bad actors are after your data, not about encrypting your data, but about stealing it, exfiltrating it, deleting it, leaking it. So the game is over. That's the reason why bad actors now act as ransomware as a service. We are seeing that already. And second, they are after your backup, not only about your production data, so they can leak it, meaning if they can, encrypt your data, but still you can recover it because you have a data, then it doesn't make any sense for them to attack you. So now they also want to modify, encrypt your data. The Conti attack is a very good example of this. That happened last year. So we decided, apart from isolating your backups with, air gapping technologies and integrating with third parties in terms of privileged access and elevated access, like our integration with companies like CyberArk, for instance, or HashiCorp, for instance. On top of that, we acquired TrapX. TrapX, which is the new name is ThreatWise, as you called it before, Metallic ThreatWise, is a deception technology. So what we do is we create decoys. Decoys meaning fake assets. So we hide your crown jewels in a crowd, meaning what is a decoy for us? Anything with an IP address. So it can be a database, it can be a router, a switch, a printer, a camera, anything that has an IP address. Meaning if your crown jewel, let's say your critical Oracle or SAP database with your supply chain is hidden in a crowd full of decoy fakes assets, the minute the bad actor touches one of the fake assets, we get an alert. That's why we call it an early warning system. So it's really easy for us to cheat them, to treat them, and to make them think what they are touching is your real Oracle database. You can deploy as many Oracle fake databases as you want. So if you have one critical one, you can deploy, let's say, 40 around, and the chances to get impacted by a ransomware attack are minimal. That's the way, high level, how we kind of operate with Metallic ThreatWise.
And in terms, one of the questions often asked with that is does what that entails, does that have any impact on, because clearly end users, it's all about performance. So if what's going on, even if it's a good idea for security, but it slows down, the real working environment. So does that have any impact, or to the end user, they have no idea what's going on in the background, their service, performance is just as they would normally expect? They don't suddenly see everything slow down for 10 minutes and then speed up again or anything like that?
No, they are absolutely lightweight. It's a really good question. So it's not like a, let's say, traditional honeypotting approach where you have a real asset. You have a real virtual server with an operating system installed, with a database installed, and with all the maintenance costs and performance associated with that. In our case, everything is virtual. So you can deploy as many as you want. They are lightweight and they are invisible for the end users. So it's business as usual for them, zero impact on performance, and all benefits on the security side. On top of that, something important I would like to highlight is our integration, deep integration with third parties. So, it takes a village to fight against ransomware, meaning ThreatWise is not going to be the only solution. It's an integrated solution with your SecOps current solution, let's say, landscape. So we integrate with SIEM, with Syslog, and also with third parties, let's say Palo Alto, McAfee, the traditional security leaders in this space.
Okay, and to that point, do you think most, shall we call them responsible, cybersecurity companies acknowledge that they can't provide all the solutions, and therefore this partnering approach and integration approach is very much important and the future? Or do you think there are some organizations that perhaps still want, obviously for business purposes, if they can get all of a customer's money as opposed to some, it's good for them? But do you think most of them are, if you like, rising above that, as I say, and understanding that they can't provide all the solutions, so it's better to work with other people and have a happy customer than getting money off him, but maybe not, or her, but not providing the total solution?
Well, to me, I would place the customer in the middle, and the customer should be the one taking the decision on which technology is better for them, based on price, based on performance, based on security, and how much we can protect their assets. Let me give you a couple of examples, especially when you go to cloud and you go to hybrid clouds, and you go to SaaS. The shared responsibility model they are adopting, that's something all customers are aware, meaning you are responsible, you, Mr. Customer, to protect your data and to recover your data in case of need. So, that's a model that is common across, any contract you sign or ELA you sign with any of the hybrid cloud vendors. That's the reason why we need to have deep API, both, and technology alliance integration with them. And that means a lot for us. Again, and it's not only on the security space, it's also on the visibility space, it's also on the full strategy of Commvault and how we evolve our solutions with every new version we launch to the market. So let me give you an example again. When we launch new versions, as the one we are going to launch now, we announce a massive increase in new workloads we can protect in the market. And that means reducing your security risks. Instead of having 5 to 7 different backup companies or backup solutions in your company, you will only have one, Commvault, which is the same interface, less risk, integrated with all your APIs needed for even for the newest workloads in the market. You call it Kubernetes, you call it the new Oracle databases, you call it the new, let's say, hypervisor or virtual environments, you name it, but also on the security space. So, you need to cover the full, let's say, a spectrum of needs you have on the security space, on the visibility space, on the workload protection space, and also, of course, on the orchestration and automation space when you need to recover something.
And just back to the solution, you say it basically works by having plenty of decoys out there. So when an attack occurs, what's the? I mean, is that something that Commvault deals with, or is that for the the customer's security team to then isolate it and deal with it? What's the process? As I say, when an attack happens and they attack a decoy database, or whatever it might be, what then actually happens?
Yeah, so the minute the bad actor touches one of the decoys, we set an alert. So the alert is super precise. So we identify which asset it is, and we let the SecOps team or any team. I mean, in reality, the alert can go anywhere. Normally, it will go to the SIEM. So the security team with the security incident response team will take action. Now, let me give you our view on the security response team. In the past, it was only SecOps. It was the security team. Now, we see more and more, not only the what to do, but also the who needs to be involved. When we are talking about ransomware, it affects all lines of business. It's a C-level conversation now. It's a chief executive officer conversation now, because it affects the business. If we go back to the data I gave you at the beginning of the conversation, it's massive. The effect is massive. Not only economical impact, is also image, branding, and, as we said before, 70% of individuals would stop working with you if you have a ransomware attack. So you need to be prepared at the cross-functional level, meaning when you are under attack, the worst thing you can do is to let the chaos run your business. So you need to understand perfectly who is responsible of what and at what time. So you need the level of authority, and you need the technical skills, of course, at the same time. And then it's up to you how you respond to the attack. Normally, it will be automation. Normally, it will be orchestrated. So you kind of do it hands-free. You run your runbook, trying to avoid human error, meaning, let the machines do the work for you. That's what we provide to our customers. So it's not only our own orchestration and automation, not only our own alert system, but also integration with third parties again, as we mentioned before on the security tools, but also on Splunk or ServiceNow, for instance, for the automation and orchestration, or even Terraform, HashiCorp, for the massive workload templates, you name it. But let me give you some data point. Gartner, they say 44% of companies will have a cross-functional incident response team by 2024. So it's a no-brainer again, it takes a village to protect your business against a ransomware attack. Yeah, we have deception technology. Yes, we have isolating technology to make sure nobody is able to access your backups. And we base our strategy on something we call zero loss strategy, which is based on 3 zero trust principles. And the zero trust principles are 3 pillars, basically. One of them is visibility. You can't protect what you don't know. So we help you to understand your business, where is your sensible data, what are your crown jewels, are they being protected? You know, so we have also a health assessment within Commvault. Second is the massive workload protection I mentioned before. So we can help you protect really old legacy applications, meaning let me give you an example, AS400 boxes, you know, from the 80s or 90s, up to the latest leading edge, latest workloads in the market. And the third pillar is the faster business response. What I mentioned before also about, you know, runbooks, automation, orchestration, how you need to recover very quickly your applications, regardless of the application, the hardware, or the cloud is in.
Okay, and you say, I mean, the decoy, I understand the decoy idea, but I think you also say you can spot threats in the production environment. Is that because, as you say, you see they're attacking the decoy and therefore you're able to protect the environment, or is there something else going on, or is that how that works?
And that's it. I mean, we set the, let's say, layers, the hooks, you know, and we put breadcrumbs, if you want to name it like that. So, you know, we cheat, we pretend to be fake assets. So let me give you an example. So if you have an big Oracle database, and is hardened, is very well protected on the security space, and also around that, before you get to that crown jewel, you have, let's say, 10, 20, 40, 50, 100 Oracle databases around. So the minute they touch one, you get the alert. But if you are a bad actor, which database do you go to attack first? The one that is not protected in principle. So you can play with them as you want. So in reality, that's the breadcrumbs I'm talking about. In reality, you can even put cameras, like, you know, sometimes they do that. So the minute they touch something on the lateral movements, they are caught. And then that's it. You know, we can take the action we want. You know, cut access, firewalls, whatever your security response is again. So that's the way. It's very simple, but it's a bright idea, you know, and it's unique in the market. So really looking forward for getting many customers reaching us as we have, you know, very interested in the solution.
Yeah, and on that point, I mean, normally you have a program, you know, alpha beta testing and stuff. So have you been testing it with customers, and even since the launch, have you had any feedback, you know, initial feedback from customers as to how they're viewing the solution?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, actually, I was in Israel a couple of weeks ago. It's, you know, ThreatWise is an Israeli company, so we have some developers over there, and of course, we have many customers, not only in Israel, also worldwide. So it's quite proven. It's not a new solution. What we did is, as we normally do, we kind of homebrew everything we do. You know, it's 26 years now of innovation that Commvault has. And that's why we rename it to Metallic ThreatWise, and we make it available as a service, or as a cloud service on Metallic, based on Metallic. Now, let me go back to the 26 years of innovation, because it's something that is immediately recognized by the analysts. Last week, I was in Gartner in London. You know, it's 11 years in a row we've been in the data protection Magic Quadrant, leader quadrant. But not only that, you know, we got, in the latest one, we got highest scores on the 3 main data protection topics, the assets, you know, which are cloud, which are edge, and data center. So it's a hat trick. You know, now that we have a World Cup, so we got the 3, let's say, top ranking, and we are proud of that. meaning going back to your point, yes, lots of interest, lots of customers already, happy ones, and lots of success stories already. And but looking forwards, again, what probably the market doesn't know is that it's a standalone solution, meaning you don't have to have the full portfolio suite of Commvault to be able to have deception technologies in your environment, meaning you can have any other backup vendor, what I mentioned before, the 5 to 7 different ones, many customers that are not Commvault customers. Commvault customers normally have only one solution, which is the full platform I explained before. But if you still are not a customer of Commvault, you can still use Metallic ThreatWise to protect your environment and to integrate with your current backup environment and your security environment too.
Okay, and then maybe just as we're finishing, in terms of next year, I know there'll be lots of plans you have, which I'm sure you can't share for commercial reasons, but are you able to give us any sort of flavor of what might be coming from Commvault over the next 12 months in terms of technology solutions or just developing the business?
Yeah, we continue, as I said before, we continue evolving. We launch 2 new versions every year, and every version is full of new enhancements. Not only is an inside-out view what we do, also is outside-in. So we listen to our customers massively. In the latest one, the one we are announcing now, we got 400 new enhancement requests from customers. So it's massive. We cannot have our own view alone and pretend to be, the only one, in possession of the truth, let's say. So we hear our customers and we continue evolving our solutions based on their needs, data protection, and I would say intelligent data services needs. So basically, we continue evolving on our zero loss strategy, what I mentioned before, based on intelligent data services. So meaning we are not only talking about data protection at the moment, like many other backup vendors do. We go beyond that. So we also have the security capability next to it, and it's not only ThreatWise, it's what I told you about air gapping and our capability to create a digital fortress for your backups. It's about data transformation and how we can help you to migrate your data to the cloud. Again, going back to minimizing risks and how to, let's say, move critical workloads on-prem to cloud. We can do that. We transform data. We can create a new environment in the cloud for you based on your physical environment, because we can transform the way you operate. Meaning, if you have, let's say, a database running on a physical server on-prem, we can transform it in a virtual server in a hybrid cloud. So, that's quite unique capability too. Also insights, as I mentioned before, we illuminate your data. We can give you a view of how your data is behaving, even with anomalies. So let me give you an example. So we've done this all our life, yeah? We protect your data, so we know your data. Now, we know your production data and we know your backup data. If you have anomalies, meaning a big change, meaning a big deletion of files in your production environment, with our artificial intelligence and machine learning, we can track that's happening. And immediately we can set an alert. Maybe you are doing it on purpose, but we are letting you know that's happening. And the same on the other way around. If data in your backups is being encrypted, we detect the anomaly again, and we can let you know straight away. So you can stop or you can continue. That's up to you, because maybe you are doing it on purpose. So, also file entropy, for instance, you're asking me for roadmap. File entropy is something we are going to launch in the next release, which is we have integration with security third parties. So if we detect, if your security vendor detects we have malware in the backups for whatever reason, you had a ransomware attack undetected 6 months ago, and now you have malware, we can mount the backup and we can clean from the backup. So again, unique capabilities, integration with third parties, let me give you a couple of more examples. Yara rules, they will be there too in the next release. So if your SecOps team is working with Yara rules, creating templates based on Yara, we can also use them on the backup copies to clean your stuff. So it's lots of innovation, lots of new functionality coming, not only in terms of security, like also common access cards, kind of access to your validated copies of the backups, or let's say YubiKeys, for instance, too. So again, not only on the security space, is one of the three main focuses I mentioned before, but also on the evolution of the platform as such. Like, again, lots of new workloads coming. We now announced, let me give you another example, Salesforce sandboxing and seeding, and also in terms of automation and orchestration, deeper integration with third parties. So it's lots of evolutions, and that's something which is critical for customers. You know, you better rely on, I would say, reliable partners like Commvault to be able to continue shaping the future and innovating. Also on the customer side, I'm talking about the customer now, not about even Commvault.
And I'm just wondering as well, because I mean, you know, storage and security traditionally being, you know, separate silos, and the term data protection has maybe started to, you know, bring the two together. And I'm hearing increasingly the term as well, cyber resilience, which seems potentially quite helpful in, you know, people understanding the sort of end to end, that it's not just, you know, firewalls at this end, or it's not just backups, it's everything in between. So do you think, I mean, Commvault, obviously you sit quite nicely in the middle, if you like, but traditional storage backup vendors or you know, security vendors at the other end, do you think, as I think, you know, you've been explaining, they are going to sort of meet somewhere in the middle, or at least work closer together to provide that total solution for customers, as opposed to we're the security people, talk to us for security, and we're the storage people or the backup people, talk to us for that? There's going to be a sort of meeting in the middle.
Yeah, it's a really good question again. So, I mean, to me, again, we cannot take as vendors an inside-out view. You know, it's all the opposite. Customers should be in the middle, and we should work with customers and around customers on how to help them to achieve their goals. And that means deep integration at the API level, deep integration at the technology alliance level. And that's, you know, that's why we keep announcing new integrations with Oracle, for instance. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is one of the latest, greatest announcements, or the deep integration we have with Microsoft and Azure on the hybrid cloud, or with AWS or Google platform. So to me, it's critical to work as a team, you know, at the technology vendor space, to work to help our customers to be resilient, number one, based on cyber resilience, as mentioned before, and to be able to operate efficiently and to be able to innovate at the end. So we shouldn't be stoppers for our customers if we pretend to do everything alone. That's not going to be possible. So deep integration and deep, I would say, partnerships.
Okay, and final question, promise. In terms of the landscape, bearing in mind, you know, we're in a digital world, are you a sort of an optimist or a pessimist, in the sense that obviously the bad folks are working overtime to do things, and therefore, in a sense, the cybersecurity teams are always playing catch up? But do you think that balance will always be kept, so that if you like, nothing gets too out of hand? Or do you worry that at some stage, because we're all going digital, we're making ourselves more vulnerable, and there might be some kind of catastrophic event that you know, forces everyone to reevaluate, is it such a good idea? Or do we just have to accept digital's here and we have to make the best of it? And do you think we've got a fair chance of doing so?
Yeah, that's it's complex to answer that question. I mean, because it depends, number one, on maturity level at, you know, I would say each of the countries. So I lead international for Commvault is EMEA and APJ. So everything but Americas, let's say. So I see a lot of difference in terms of cloud adoption and openness, let's say, adoption. But also it depends on the customer's risk appetite. So that's something also you need to evaluate, and you need to have a conversation with the customer. So, but this is exactly the reason of ThreatWise. It's like, regardless of how much you want to open, regardless of how much you want to be connected to the external world, you need, number one, cyber deception. So, you protect your crown jewels from external attacks. And second, with the rest of the Commvault platform capabilities, you isolate your copies, guaranteed 100%. So, nobody will be able to touch them, to access them, to encrypt them, or to delete them, or to steal them. So you will always be able to go back to normal in case of need, and in case the rest of the protection you have kind of fails. I would say no customer boundary is impenetrable. At some point you need to have the right level of protection. Otherwise, and again, that's the reason of ThreatWise, you will be cheated or ransom or victim of an attack.
Okay, well, it's been great to chat to you today, and then we covered a lot of ground, so I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed, Cesar.
Same for me. Nice to meet you. And anytime, you know where I am.
Thanks again. Thank you.
Bye.